I've been waiting on the Lord for confirmations for a few things that I believe He has shown me. I've received those confirmations and now feel I can share those beliefs with you. Please take these to the Lord as I tell you why I believe the transformation of the bride will actually happen before the 3 days of darkness. Like most of us, for years now, I thought we were transformed as we walked through the door during the first day of darkness, but some messages have recently come forth that, when tied together with dreams, speak of our transformation before this dark time. I'm not talking about our gifts from the Lord, which come the days we are trained, but rather our transformation, our shining. The other day I was rereading Warrior Princess' message from May 29, 2015, and to be very brief, an excerpt from that was, quote, you will walk in your transformed bodies for 3 days, and then I will call your name. So, another message about this comes from Julie Wedby from her dream from May 19th, 2012, when she dreamed she could see her husband outside in his body. She could see light through it as well as hers, and God told her that's about the transformation. So I know that some people are already feeling these changes, and many may come over time, and many may be transformed immediately. I know I had a dream where I was with another person and we had glow spots on us, and even from our dream forum on the website, this one person dreamed that they were in a football stadium and people were pointing at them saying they were glowing. So all these things are occurring, I believe, before the actual darkness. We read in these I was going to say, if we focus on Warrior Princess's message, then we will walk in our transformed bodies 3 days before Jesus calls our name. So when is He going to call our name? In my opinion, that is when love comes down and God speaks to all of us at the beginning of the 3 days of darkness. So it is very possible, in my opinion, that the called out ones from the bride are transformed when we and the rest of the world sees the cosmic event, which, according to Bond's blog, occurs 3 days before the earthquake and 3 days of darkness. So bear with me. When we're reading in these dreams that I just mentioned, it seems like a typical day when we're transformed. In Julie's dream, her husband's outside, and we know we can't go outside during the 3 days of darkness. Also, it appears we are changed before then, right? So if that's true, then we can actually do more ahead of time before the 3 days. I believe at the same time that this is when God will take the children home. I've already covered some of this in other videos and links, so please go through that. I know this seems disconnected, but these events, I believe, might happen at the same time. The first thing is that the U.S. betrays Israel. Julie told us this in her message from December 27, 2015. She says, He said Jerusalem is surrounded by her enemies, as the word says it will be at the end, and that the U.S. will betray her in a moment of greatest need. That will bring the first judgment poured out, and I feel I understand this to be financial, but the rest immediately following. He showed me financial transactions all over the world, and the money turning to dust, being blown away in the winds. The second event I believe will happen is that the U.S. dollar collapses, like on Wall Street. This would be the first judgment, not the Revelation judgment, but what Julie brought about in her message. Then she sees financial transactions all over the world. After that, I believe, well, during that time, actually, I believe the fallen angels arrived, because from Barb's message, 278 Pike Lake, on September 10, 2015, she says, from God, once the collapse of the economies worldwide begin, expect the arrival of the otherworldlies on the scene. So it sounds as if these aliens will arrive before the geological events, but I would remind you that no one person has all the answers. So we're putting certain pieces together that He gives us the information that He wants us to have. The aliens show up in the sky, and I think that just about this time is when the children disappear. I believe God will allow these fallen to appear in the sky first. Otherwise, when the media tells us the aliens have taken the children, the world would be furious when they actually arrived later. And in the transcript, I've put Ed Amos's dream that he had about that and how I believe that will occur. So when the aliens show up, I believe the children disappear quickly afterward and we are transformed. Because we are transformed early, there is more likelihood that parents and others will believe us because we'll be glowing. They will know something's happened to us. We've also read many messages about how people, possibly church or lukewarm people, will be jealous of us. This probably won't be happening after the darkness hits, but it certainly could happen before, during regular, quote, regular daytime, going to church, school, whatever, that we've seen in these dreams, where we're changed. Okay, so I have a potential timeline for this, and let me share that with you. That is of the children changing and the bride's transformation. One of the thoughts that God reminded me of back in December was that 3 years had passed since that one day, December 21st, 2012. That day was given to the enemy. Something changed in the spiritual atmosphere then, and he was allowed more access. So I started thinking, I wonder if that was a time period when Satan gets to work with that, like 7 years. Now, this is not the tribulation. That is God's wrath. Although they might overlap, God seems to work in numbers. So that led me to wonder about the date that was 1,260 days after the 21st of December from 2012. That day falls on June 3rd this year. Now, Pentecost is June 11th, so that's pretty close. And as many as believe Rosh Hashanah is the date of the rapture, since I learned of the transformation that comes first, I felt the day of Pentecost, Shavuot, seemed very likely date for that change. We've got the latter day rains, the outpouring of the Holy Spirit on that day, events from Acts 2 again, just like Passover was reenacted more than once. We are the first fruits, the barley, and the barley is harvested anywhere from late March to early June in Israel. So what I'm saying is, it is possible that these children are taken and our transformation occurs within the first 2 weeks of June. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And again, please go to the Lord with this. I've been thinking about this 1260 and why no one else had come up with it. And that's why I've been sitting on it. And God showed me another confirmation of this just the other day. This particular write-up for this person's website is phenomenal. Someone named H.T. Stan had emailed this to this gentleman, and he posted it on his website. I'm going to post the link. I highly encourage you to read it. It has a lot to do with June 6th of this year, and Venus, and Lucifer, and things that may occur. And while my take on it is much different, and that's why I'm including it in this, I would strongly encourage you to read it, because this gentleman gave an update on March 20th that also included 1,260 days. He just puts that information out there, but for me, it was God showing me confirmation. I've not seen that anywhere else, 3 days before June 6th. Now, I know people have had dreams of things happening on June 6th, and even in my Pied Piper vision, I learned that story was based on truth, that children disappeared from the town of Hamlin, supposedly on June 26th of the year 1284. So that's another June date that we are just seeing different things put together there. Finally, I wanted to mention some things from Jewish history that correspond to early June. These dates are all Jewish, starting with the month of Sivan. Sivan 1, which is June 6th, includes the earth opening up and swallowing Korah, who opposed Moses in Numbers 26:10. So there's a slight earthquake there. The verse also adds that they served as a warning sign. Sivan 3, which is June 8th, now this one's interesting, was the 3 days of preparation of the Hebrews before God was going to speak to them in Exodus 19:9. That could very well be a parallel to our 3 days timing in the world that is prepared and in their homes 3 days before he speaks to us. Just a thought, but that's pretty incredible. And on Sivan 6, which is Pentecost, much happened in the past. It is said that Enoch was born on that day and also ascended to God. Isn't he a type of bride? Also, Moses was drawn out of the water on this day. And of course, we have Acts 2, where the tongues of fire came down on the disciples, 50 days after first fruits, or Resurrection Day. As for Nibiru, in the message earlier from Julie, God tells us that Nibiru will come when the bride rises. That's the rapture. Nibiru may indeed cause chaos, but it really causes problems when the rapture occurs. Could that be in July? On Tribulation Now, I've posted a link from a little girl. She had a dream, and here's an excerpt. And then there was a great noise from a shofar, and God woke up the people, and they came out of the ground, and she was told this would happen in July. There's also a dream posted there of the black sun, which is Nibiru, I think. As a final confirmation, I asked God last night to give me one more to show me that, yes, I was to post this video. So for me, it's not so much about the timing of our change before, or I'm sorry, let me say that again. It is not so much about the timing of when everything's going to happen, but that our change is before the 3 days of darkness, and it could actually occur the same time as the children's disappearance. In my devotions today, I came across one verse, and that sealed the deal for me in Isaiah 47:9. These two things shall come to you in a moment. In one day the loss of children and widowhood shall come upon you in full measure, in spite of your many sorceries and great power of your enchantments. But there's 7 words there that I bolded in the transcript. In one day, the loss of children. Wow, that really sealed it as me, God telling me to post a video. Not so much about the actual timing in June, although that may be, but the loss of the children and our transformation before the 3 days of darkness. To wrap this up, I'm looking for these end-time events, starting with the USA's betrayal of Israel, to start at least by May. Israel's anniversary of becoming a nation in one day is May 14th. So perhaps by then there'll be peace negotiation, or it's also possible that ISIS will have infiltrated in the south, since they are already in the Sinai. Israel could ask for help, and Obama says no, and that's our betrayal. One thing we do know for sure is the sky turns red first. That's one of our signs. So be sure to keep looking up and keep Israel in your prayers.